The F-4 Phantom II is one of the most iconic jet fighters of the 20th century. Born during the Cold War, this aircraft combined raw power, speed, and versatility in a way that few other planes of its generation could match. It served not only the United States but also many Allied air forces, and even today, decades after its first flight, the Phantom is remembered as a legend of the skies. The story of the F-4 begins in the early 1950s, when McDonnell Aircraft sought to design a new long-range, supersonic fighter for the United States Navy. At that time, naval aviation was undergoing rapid modernization. Jet technology was still relatively young, but the lessons of the Korean War had shown the importance of having an aircraft that could intercept bombers, fight enemy fighters, and deliver powerful weapons all at once. The Navy wanted a true multi-role aircraft. Out of this demand came the design that would become the F-4 Phantom II. The first prototype flew on May 27, 1958. At first glance, the Phantom was unlike anything else in the sky. It was large for a fighter, with a wide fuselage, twin engines, and a distinctive nose. The plane's tall vertical stabilizer and downward-angled tail planes gave it an unmistakable silhouette. But while it may have looked heavy, the F-4 was anything but slow. Powered by two General Electric J79 turbojet engines, it could reach speeds above Mach 2.2, making it one of the fastest fighters of its time. The Phantom was initially designed as an interceptor, but it quickly proved capable of much more. Its large payload capacity meant it could carry bombs, rockets, and air-to-air missiles. The Navy soon realized that they had not just a fighter, but a true all-purpose warplane. The U.S. Air Force and Marine Corps were quick to adopt it as well, and by the early 1960s, the Phantom was being produced in large numbers. One of the most remarkable aspects of the F-4 was its ability to break records. In December 1959, it set a world altitude record of over 98,000 feet. In the years that followed, it broke multiple times to climb records, showing just how powerful its engines were. The Phantom quickly gained a reputation as a machine that could do almost anything asked of it. Its combat debut came during the Vietnam War, where the F-4 became the workhorse of U.S. air power. In Vietnam, the Phantom was tasked with air superiority missions, ground attack, reconnaissance, and even close air support. However, its early combat experience revealed both strengths and weaknesses. On the one hand, the Phantom's speed and missile armament allowed it to engage enemy MiGs at long range. On the other hand, the aircraft had no internal gun, as American designers had believed that future air combat would rely entirely on missiles. This assumption proved wrong when close-range dogfights against agile MiG-17s and MiG-21s showed the Phantom's disadvantage. Later versions were fitted with an internal M61 Vulcan cannon, which dramatically improved its effectiveness in a dogfight. Despite its size and weight, skilled pilots learned to use the Phantom's raw power to outmaneuver opponents. The twin engines gave it incredible thrust, and it could climb and accelerate faster than most adversaries. U.S. aces in Vietnam, such as Randy Cunningham and Willie Driscoll, achieved their victories flying F-4s. For many pilots, the Phantom became both a challenge and a beloved partner in the dangerous skies over Southeast Asia. Another important role for the Phantom during Vietnam was ground attack. Capable of carrying up to 18,000 pounds of ordnance, it could deliver bombs with devastating effect. From close air support to interdiction strikes deep into enemy territory, the Phantom became an essential part of America's air campaign. It also served as a reconnaissance platform, with specially modified versions carrying high-tech cameras. Beyond Vietnam, the Phantom became a backbone of Western air power throughout the Cold War. NATO allies such as Germany, the United Kingdom, and Turkey adopted the aircraft, often tailoring it to their specific needs. In the Middle East, Israel became one of the Phantom's most skilled operators. During the Yom Kippur War of 1973, Israeli F-4s fought intense battles against Arab MiGs and Soviet-built surface-to-air missiles. These conflicts proved that the Phantom could adapt to new threats and remain a formidable fighter. The Phantom's career was not without controversy. It was often criticized for being too large and too visible, making it an easy target. Its engines produced thick black smoke trails that could be spotted from miles away. Yet for all its flaws, the Phantom's adaptability ensured that it stayed relevant far longer than most aircraft of its generation. It could carry almost any weapon in the U.S. arsenal, from nuclear bombs to precision-guided munitions, and its electronics were constantly upgraded to meet new challenges. By the 1970s and 80s, newer aircraft like the F-14 Tomcat, F-15 Eagle, and F-16 Fighting Falcon began to replace the Phantom in frontline U.S. service. However, the Phantom did not disappear. Instead, it found a second life in specialized roles. The U.S. Air Force converted many into Wild Weasel aircraft, designed for the dangerous task of hunting and destroying enemy surface-to-air missile sites. In this role, the Phantom proved invaluable, flying missions well into the 1990s. Internationally, the Phantom continued to see combat in multiple wars. Iran, which had purchased F-4s before the 1979 revolution, used them extensively during the Iran-Iraq War of the 1980s. Despite limited access to spare parts, Iranian pilots kept their Phantoms flying and scored numerous successes. Greece, Turkey, South Korea, and Japan also flew the aircraft for decades, often upgrading them with modern avionics and weapons. What made the Phantom so enduring was its combination of speed, payload, and versatility. Unlike many aircraft that are designed for one primary role, the F-4 could adapt to nearly any mission. It was never the most maneuverable dogfighter, nor the stealthiest bomber, but it was always good enough to do the job, and in combat, reliability is often more important than perfection. Even today, more than 60 years after its first flight, some nations still operate the Phantom in limited roles. In Turkey and Iran, for example, upgraded F-4s remain active. In the United States, retired Phantoms found a new purpose as remotely piloted target drones, used to train modern fighter pilots. But beyond statistics and service records, the Phantom carries a legacy that is deeply personal for those who flew it. Pilots often described it as a beast, a plane that demanded respect and skill. It was fast, loud, and unforgiving to mistakes, but once mastered, it was a powerful weapon. Its roar, known as the sound of freedom, became unforgettable for generations of aviators and ground crews. The F-4 Phantom II was more than just a fighter jet. It was a symbol of an era, a machine that embodied the tensions of the Cold War, the lessons of Vietnam, and the evolution of modern air combat. It stood at the center of history for decades, shaping not only how wars were fought but also how future aircraft would be designed. Today, museums around the world preserve the Phantom as a reminder of its remarkable story. From its record-breaking flights to its fierce battles over Vietnam and the Middle East, the Phantom earned its place in aviation history. It may no longer dominate the skies, but its legend continues to inspire. The Phantom was not perfect, but it was unforgettable. In many ways, that is the highest praise any warplane can receive. It was feared by its enemies, respected by its pilots, and admired by aviation enthusiasts everywhere. The F-4 Phantom II will forever remain a true classic of the jet age.